Okay, thank you very much for the invitation. First thing, I would like to thank Alfonso Miranda, Professor Alfonso Miranda, and Professor Oscar Stirovia for the kind invitation to be here today. Just to talk some words, some problems, and some solutions perhaps about the problem of longitudinal data, surveys, and big data substance. Well, first of all, the index. First, I'm going to present some ideas about the way from surveys to big data. Some big questions about the big data problem. I have more questions than answers, I'm sorry. And I have a lot of questions about all these problems. Some statistics ideas about how statisticians face or focus these kind of problems. Some words about computer science, and some ideas and examples big data. Well, the first thing I want to show you is my way to be who I am today. And who I am today, who am I? Well, some people has told me that I'm a data scientist. So, since data scientists are not so common as industry would like, then I think it would be a good idea to show you my role, my own career. I began in statistics in the 90s, working especially with medicine, so statistics in medicine. So I was a statistician. But after that, I began to work with pattern recognition, especially in the area of combining information, combining different sources of information for pattern recognition in the area in the subject of support vector machines. We used to combine kernels to improve classification tasks. The same years, people began to say that not pattern recognition anymore, it's data mining. Okay, data mining, as you prefer. And after that, I began to work with a computer science department. So, since 2 years to today, more or less, people saying to me that I'm a pattern recognition researcher working in a computer science environment using statistics. So, you are a data scientist. Okay, you say that. But I'm all my life doing more or less the same thing. Analyzing data, using computer science to do it the proper way, using the proper machine learning techniques, and trying to show you results as better as you can, which is called now visualization. Okay, visualization. And after that, if possible, you try to publish your research as good as you can, paper or meeting or whatever. But today I'm a data scientist, okay? You say that. And if you have a look to my publication, I think it's a good reflex of what data scientists would expect. Most of my publications are on computer science subjects, computer science area, engineering, mathematics. And after that, you can see more or less 1 over 5 of my publications are on medicine. Medicine, social sciences, chemistry, pharmacology, things like that. Okay, it's the domain or the application domain of my techniques. Well, I would like to show this publication to you today because in fact, it's my very first publication. I'm sorry because it's in Spanish, but it's about gastrointestinal bleeding and insects survival analysis. So the source we use, because a Spanish drug surveillance system database called FEDRA, doctors are supposed to communicate adverse reactions to drugs. But in fact, the real thing is that the low notification rate. So in this case, we use a very low sample size, as you can see. It's the number of adverse reactions to these drugs related to gastrointestinal bleeding. We use this Kruskal-Wallis test to compare different survival groups. And in these years, I understand the difference between a statistically significant result, because we found this statistically significant difference was found between aspirin and piroxicam curves. But my boss, 10 years ago, told me, no. The practical thing is that this result is not relevant, it's not important. And I said, no, but it's statistically significant. He said, okay, but it's irrelevant for me as a doctor. And I said, wow, statistics has no sense. Okay. After that, I collaborated in another paper about open heart surgery, open heart surgery mortality. In this case, the aim was to develop a risk stratification model to evaluate open heart surgery mortality in a region in Spain, in Catalonia. Well, in fact, the dependent variable was surgical mortality, and the total sample was more or less 1,100 procedures in different hospitals, and the overall crude mortality rate was 10%. We use logistic regression to analyze the different variables in order to look for the most significant ones. And in this case, I propose to change the classical odds ratio. You can see there the odds ratio associated to these different risk factors, and we generate different scores, this column, associated with these variables. So, the highest the odds ratio, the highest the weights in the score. And here in this figure, you can see the results. We divided our score risk level in 5 stages, in 5 levels. And in this case, there are a high percentage of the population, of the subject, with low risk level. And in this case, the mortality was very low, 4%. And we obtained very low people in the extremely high risk level with a very high mortality. Okay, these are the past. No? And what about the future? The challenge of longitudinal big data studies. Well, for me, from my point of view, these are the main challenges of longitudinal big data studies. Regular sampling, high-dimensional data, phase data, noise. Of course, you have more noise if you have big data, and balance groups, feature selection, which is crucial, especially in this type of studies. It's always crucial, the selection of the proper features. But in this case, when you have a big data problem, you have many features in general, and it's mandatory to select the proper ones. Case data, missing data, and privacy. I know privacy is not the same all around the world, but especially in Europe, privacy is a problem when you're speaking about longitudinal data. Okay, some big questions about big data. Questions from the computer science point of view, and questions from the statistical point of view. The questions are the same, more or less. Do we have the tools from a computer science point of view to focus on these big data problems? And from a statistical point of view, do we have the skills or not? I think probably not. Probably we don't have the tools yet. And I think probably we don't have the statistical skills. Probably not. Probably not means, from my point of view, that perhaps yes, but I think not. It's an opinion. Computer scientists are working on new tools, that's true. But statisticians in general, are confident about all tools. And on the other side, statisticians are working on new skills. But computer scientists are confident about all skills. So, it's everything what you need. You need data scientists that should know all tools and skills and should work on new tools and skills. But this is, I think this picture has 2 years. It's a picture from 2013. But anyway, this is the landscape, the big data landscape, and it's crazy. There are too many options, too much options. There are a lot of noise here. You need an expert to guide you in this picture, to select, what to select. I have a big data problem. And now, wow, forget. There is no one silver bullet. So you need an expert. Well, some questions, some statistics. Questions from the point of view of a statistician like me. How big is big? I think it's a good question. How big is big for longitudinal data? Well, I want to show you one of our real problems today at my university. I think I have forgot to say that my university is University Rey Juan Carlos in Madrid, Spain. Anyway. Sorry. Well, what is our population in this problem? Our population are the Wikipedians, that is the editors of the Wikipedia, or the Stock Exchange people, collaborators. And you have a huge number of Wikipedians, like 3 million, or growing and growing. Our questions are to study the time until a user, a Wikipedian user quits, or time until a question is solved in this question and answer web pages like Stock Exchange. And the method to compare pools or to analyze this kind of data is the same that I showed before. Survival analysis, a cost model, is the same method. But the problem is that with such a huge population size, the estimated sample size to find out relevant significance is huge. Especially when the study focuses on a very small population proportion. As an example, I want to show you this calculation. For instance, if the population proportion is 1 in 10,000, in order to detect a significant and relative risk of 1.1 with a classical power, and a classical type 1 error, the needed number of events is almost 9 million. So it's a bit crazy. Because, well, why? Well, because the standard errors are inversely related to sample size, as you know, and a large sample size greatly increases the power of an analysis to detect a difference. So, we have here another problem. Huge samples can make the insignificant significant. Because some sample has an effect on p-values. So, as an example, no very clear here, sorry, but the conclusion is also an extremely large sample may provide sufficient power to conclude there is a statistically significant difference between, for example, 2 means. The difference itself may not have any practical significance. So you have here an interesting problem from the point of view of a statistician, because the idea is the sample size as bigger, better. But it's not true. Not always. For instance, how to solve this problem? Well, some people is working actually on this type of problems. This is a paper 2015, this year. Analysis of sampling algorithms of Twitter. So to develop new statistical metrics to quantify the statistically representativeness of the tweets. In this paper, the authors developed new metrics and develop or direct sufficient conditions on the number of samples needed to obtain highly representative tweet samples. And the great idea is the sample method do not depend on the total number of tweets. Or another good idea, I think, is to change your statistical mind. Me or a statistician in general are common with questions like, what size difference do I want to be able to detect? But perhaps with such a huge number of people, subjects, the good question should be, what size difference do I not want to be able to detect? Or how small of a difference would not be practical significance? And therefore, what should the upper limit of my sample size be to guarantee that I will not find such a difference to be significant? This is a change, a very heavy change for a statistician. But you can, as new ideas, to develop new metrics to assess the performance of crowdsourcing websites. This paper by one of my colleagues, Felipe Ortega, University, analyzed these websites, the question and answer websites, and he uses survival analysis to model the time to answer questions. And in fact, the authors developed new methods for longitudinal data analysis. But you can use all ideas for these new problems. This is a paper I published in 2002 with other my collaborators at the University in Barcelona, using this type of sampling, inverse sampling, or sequential methods. In this case, we show how the calculated sample size for any classical design depends on the parameterization you use. And in fact, using the proper parameterization and using inverse samplings and triangular sequential design, we reduce the sample size needed in 20% or even in 40%. But you can use these new methods, all ideas about new methods, disassemble methods, these statistical learning algorithms that construct a set of classifiers and then classify new data by taking a vote of their prediction, this bagging, boosting, sampling. And this is a paper by Michael Jordan and collaborators, the Big Data Booster. It's a paper last year, I think. And this paper, I think, established many conceptual challenges in big data analysis, just to ask if a new area in theoretical computer science is open or even a new area in statistics. Well, in this section in computer science, I want to show this Spark model. I don't know if you are familiar with Spark, but these are very popular these days in the computer science area, especially for big data. Spark model is a fast general engine for large-scale data processing. The idea is to partition across cluster the data and to store the data in memory, not in disks, but in memory. Spark is well suited for to deal with machine learning algorithms. And well, I have some not news here, present news from IBM, from a meeting with IBM and Apache Spark, the start of something big in data and design. Well, for me, the important sentence is here. IBM has said that Apache Spark should be the operating system for the analytics. Well, in Spain, we we have actually a master in data science at my university, and it's the first and unique 10% Spark master in Europe. Well, I have here a use case for Spark. I think it's better to show another examples later. Well, big data. What is big data? It's a recent term introduced in 2008 that refers not only to the data, but to the techniques to capture, process, analyze, and visualize potentially large data sets in a reasonable time frame. So for me, in the past it was a way, a road from data to knowledge, but now with such a huge problem, a huge number of data, you have a way from data to information to start the relevant information, another way from information to knowledge, and another way from knowledge to intelligence. Well, perhaps you know this figure. It's a high cycle for emerging technologies. 2 years old. Anyway, you have how to big data. Big data is the peak of the emerging technologies, and it's expected to be in the plateau of productivity in 5-10 years, more or less. As well, IBM needs more than 1 million engineers and data scientists, he said in May this year. Data scientist is considered the sexiest job of the 21st century. I don't know. So to fill this gap, you need data science education. Of course, you need to educate people in data science. And well, there are other solutions like combination of information from several data analysts or data science. This idea is the idea behind crowdsourcing for data analytics by the Kyoto University, especially the works at the Kyoto University, to combine the solutions of several experts to improve the single solutions. What are the elements of data science? Well, I think these are the main elements: data acquisition and recording, data preparation, extraction, cleaning, which is crucial, clean properly your data, notation, and storage. Data integration, aggregation, and representation, just to select the proper features, crucial. Data analysis and modeling, and data visualization to show as better as you can your product. And if possible, data products. You need a product. Perhaps you don't need a product, but if you need it, it should be the last step. What about the scale? Well, I think it's funny because perhaps you have never listened this before. Yottabyte. Yottabyte is 10 to 24 bytes. It's crazy, anyway. Or my flight from Madrid to here has generated 30 terabytes of data, which is a lot of data from one single byte. 1 byte, 8 bits to yottabyte. And the projected size of the digital universe in 2020 is 44 zettabytes. A zettabyte is 10 to 21 bytes. Crazy. What about the big data projects, especially in Europe? Well, in Europe, we have this CORDIS, this Community Research and Development Information Service. And the information there is that we have the European Union funded 142 big data projects in different application domains, as you can see: government, ecology, social security, medicine, social networks, road traffic, etc. And I wanted to show you some examples of this big data. Let me choose the example. This is, I think, one of the last samples of big data. It's in Spain. And it comes from the Spanish General Direction of Traffic. I think I have the real thing here. So I want to show you. I think it's here. Oh, sorry. It should be here. Yeah, it's here. The Spanish people have received this folder just to collect information. The name is General Direction of Traffic 3.0 towards smart mobility. And the aim is to take advantage of new technologies to achieve the objective vision zero. Zero death, zero injury, zero congestion, zero emissions. And the method is to develop a multidirectional information digital platform to collect information from drivers, cyclists, pedestrians, bikers, everybody, and to generate applications that generate useful information for these drivers, pedestrians, etc. Well, this is another example of this big data, longitudinal data. The analysis of tragedy will be on Twitter by Geotech Mexico. Here, you know more than me probably about this project. This is another tool for tweet sentiment visualization by the North Carolina State University. And I think this tool shows that it doesn't work. It's difficult to visualize tweet sentiment. Quite difficult. You can try this tool because well, it's not very clear, but in the image you can see the tweets related to the word Paris a week ago, 4 days ago, 5 days ago. And this is the happy thing, and over there is the sad thing. It's not, you cannot detect the real thing. Looking at the sentiment related to that tweet. It should be very clear, but it isn't. You can see the words related to these tweets, and of course you can see words like terrorist or attack, things like that. But the sentiment related to the tweets is not clear. Anyway, I suppose you know this, but a year ago, Twitter invested 10 million in the creation of a special laboratory, laboratory, that will be used to analyze the way people use social media. I like this initiative very much because the number of millions, of course, because the questions, no questions from Twitter to meet. 10 million, no questions. Work. It's difficult. It's difficult to extract information from all the tweets. But it's a good aim, I think, to better understand how particular kinds of messages travel and spread through social media platforms. Okay, we have results here. Good results, I think. From Doha, from Qatar. But you have a look to the title, Twitter data mining reveals the origins of support for Islamic State. Analyzing the pre-Islamic State tweets of people who end up backing the organization, you can see a trend. You can see this trend. You can detect the exact time, more or less, in which these people radicals change their mind and travel to Iraq or Syria or whatever to fight against who knows. Okay, so analyzing the Twitter data mining, you can reverse this. You can prevent this support for Islamic State or whatever. And this is, I think, the last example I have for you. This outsourcing human intelligence tasks. Just to combine, the idea is to combine the opinion or the results, in fact, of several studies to improve the classification tags or to minimize the error. And these people from the university in Kyoto show that combining information, just crowdsourcing data analytics, the prediction performance of the winner significantly outperformed the state-of-the-art method. And but the important result here is that the aggregated model, the black one, constructed using a combination technique of the other models. You can see the aggregated model improve the final performance. And in fact, the good news is that the performance of the aggregated model built only from early submissions overtook the final performance of the winner. So, as a summary of my talk, I think the idea is in this figure. This is the big data solution I propose. And if you want words for this image, my words for the image is: don't be panic, work together. Thank you very much.
Thanks to Issac for the very illustrative talk and very interesting talk. We have some time for questions. So, anyone? Yes.
It is hard for me to understand the follow everything that you say. But what is very clear is that there is a huge production of information without paying a single penny for that. And in some way, social behavior and many political behavior, environmental issues are there. And we need to have a totally new, even understanding of social dynamics and behaviors towards this. How realistic do you think could be for this generation of scientists to be able to take advantage of this huge amount of data that is cloud, whatever you. Even I even have problems to think about where is the storage of this information. But from your experience, we are instructors, we researchers, we have students preparing them for the future. But how realistically do you think is that we are training them for this? Because this is the future.
Yeah. From the point of view of a statistician as me, I think it's not realistic to prepare people only in statistics, for example. It has no sense. Because, as you said, even the data are not the story. You don't store your data. You receive your data by streaming. You don't need to store the data. For example, sometimes it's better not to store the data. So, in the past, as a statistician, I store my data in my hard disk. I feel great. I analyze my data here. Everything's here. But The future is not like that, no anymore. So I think you need to prepare your statistician, but learning computer science as well, computer science tools, like as Spark, for example, this distributed machine, this cloud computing things. But of course, we need education. We need more education in data science. My answer. I don't know.
Thank you very much. I one, more than one. First one is the first time I got into contact with big data and all this analysis, I thought as a statistician, with the reputations that I am, I was thinking, well, this is not representative of every sample. How, not from the point of view of a computer science, but from the point of view of social science, how we go around with the fact that this data will not, or not yet, ever give us a representative sample, and we really want to do hypothesis testing. We really want to learn the characteristics of the population. I don't really care about what the tweeters think. No, I care about the population. So I think that's a big question for big data. No? I think you touch it, but I would like you to, or provoking you to discuss more about that. Second question is following with the first question is, at the moment we have, so it seems the future will have the use of these big data and these new sources of data for doing social research. But the problem is that, or at least the problem that I see, is that we have engineers who knows how to crunch the data. And then we have social scientists, and we just can't talk, So we need a new kind of degrees, a new kind of, university has to start doing something because we can, at the moment, we cannot even talk. How do we go around that?
Okay, the second question. If you have a look to my first, for example, to my first publication, I'm over there. And the first person was a doctor, and the second was a pharmacologist, and the third was another team, etc., etc. I think that, and here in my another contribution, this is the person who in fact open heart and and the surgery. So I think that should be the solution, to collaborate. Try to talk to the statistician or to the computer science. Try to get these people into your problem, your real thing. And for them it's the same. You cannot be a good computer scientist if you don't understand the problem. The first thing I did when I began to work with doctors was to take a course of statistics for medicine, for doctors, just to try to understand how you, doctor, understand statistics. It sounds crazy because I was a statistician. Perhaps you think you don't need that course. It should be very easy for you. Yes, in fact, it was very easy for me. But I learned a lot of things, because I changed my mind from my statistician point of view to the medical point of view. And after that, I was able to understood many things. I think that's the way. That should be the way. And perhaps the solution is, okay, begin to study what you want, but at the end, probably you will need more. You can study computer science, okay, but are you going to work with doctors or with social science people? You need to learn to understand these people. Sorry, the other question I think is related.
Yeah, it was about the representativeness.
Oh yeah, the representative. Yeah, yeah, the representative. Yeah, the problem there is the huge amount of data. You should be careful with the question, and you should be. You can detect many noise in this big data in general. There are a lot of noise. So to choose the proper population, that's the problem, no? But I have access to everyone, to a lot of data. I cannot forget the question. But I don't know. I mean, I should be careful with the question, with the hypothesis I would like to test, because your mind is as mine, thinking in no big data, thinking in, I don't know, a sample of 1,000 or things like that, 100. And you should be careful because you probably you will get access to more data. So,
Thank you very much. We have time for more question. One more question. Yes. We have Julieta. You know, oh, you.
So, when I see or when I hear about, I have sort of a similar reaction that you heard, and I'm actually an epidemiologist, and when I hear about big data, I have a similar reaction of, okay, there is this great amount of data, we have it there. Let's just find how we're going to, bring it into what we do, rather than from the other perspective of what are the questions that we need, and then looking out for tools to solve those questions. So I guess I'm trying to see how is it possible using this data. I'm going to step back. We're more and more interested in contextual exposures. So in how the environments in which we live affect, our, for instance, medical outcomes. If the built environment around us or the feeling of insecurity, for instance, affects health outcomes. How can you tie, this information and bring it into type geographically? Is it possible to bring it and tie it geographically in order to define, social environments in which people live, and then bring it in also as an additional sort of contextual exposure? So the concern is that even if it's very data rich, you would require, if you were to understand, for instance, the social context of, geographical context of where this building is built, we would need to have Twitter users that define that area. So I guess where I'm going to is that in order to tie it down, you require that geographical spread that may not be there. So I guess I never asked the question. which brings back the idea that we are really appalled by what all these means. I don't know, maybe can you comment on tying it to geographical data?
yeah, well, if I understand, sorry, but the point is that you want to use geographical data and to understand if geographical data implies a new value for your data. And of course, it's crucial. We have a big amount of data and with geographical variables. No? And it should, for me, it sounds stupid not to use this geographical information in the analysis you have. But it depends, of course, on the problem. But we can talk later if you prefer. Sorry.
Okay, so let's, there is another burning question. Then I will think, Isaac, we should take